Hi, I'm Merrick D'Amato, and welcome back to Film Swap. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, Film Swap is a series where every month, Tom Yanaka, the horror guy, and I exchange movies. He watches and reviews what I send him. I watch and review what he sends me. Last month, he gave me Danse Macabre. I was not impressed. This month, he gave me a more recent film, 2009, called Laid to Rest. A young girl wakes up in a casket with a head injury and no memory of her identity. She quickly realizes she was abducted by a serial killer, and she must fight to survive. I have never heard of this movie. It's got a pretty average rating on IMDb. But interestingly, I've seen pictures of the slasher from it. It has a really cool designed slasher, and I'm all for a cool design slasher with a cool iconic weapon. I'm all for that. So let's hope this one's good, and let's watch the trailer. I'll see you for the movie review portion.
Asheville County Police Department, what is your emergency?
I was in a box.
We're sorry. You're off. You have me.
Tucker tells me picked you up on the street. That you were coming from a cemetery.
So you got a name?
Probably. Listen, ma'am, I saw a man.
How'd you get it? Are you okay?
You're safe here.
Oh, God, help us.
He's gonna kill me, ain't he? You're dead.
Nobody is gonna die here tonight.
I've been called a sinner.
He's not gonna stop ever.
Alright, so that was a movie. It's very overtly a movie from 2009, and it begins, like a lot of these movies do, with the most disjointed flashing back and forth, what I refer to as seizure editing. I'm glad that we're kind of moving away from that cinematically. Showing the killer, Chrome Skull. It takes a while getting to that name, but his name is Chrome Skull because he has the Chrome Skull mask. It shows him chroming the skull and some of his previous murders. He has a black suit, like a business suit. Chrome Skull looks a lot like Black Mask from Batman, actually. Has a camera on his shoulder for some reason, a little GoPro, and has the most ridiculous pawn shop flea market knives I've ever seen. The serrated back of the blades, the brass knuckles, but ridiculous. Ridiculous and practical looking knives. Like, these do not look like real knives. It looks like Halloween shop stuff. Or something you'd see in Counter-Strike. These are not a real weapon. These are a video game thing. But he's doing his thing. We get the title. Then we jump cut to there's this girl who is not named throughout the entirety of the movie. She's in a coffin in a funeral home, and she freaks out as you would waking up in a coffin. She's lucky it wasn't buried. She flips it over off the table. The table it's on. It opens, and she's in a funeral home. She has no memory of who she is, where she is, anything. The funeral director comes in. Is like, oh, I'm gonna. He does see her in the not see her in the box. He sees the box shaking and runs. But he does. He's like, oh, it's calm down, I'm going to let you out. And then Chrome Skull comes behind him and stabs him. And then I think the girl stabs Chrome Skull in the eye. It's a little unclear, but that's what I think I saw. So she escapes, chased a bit by Chrome Skull, and is picked up outside the funeral home by one of my favorite characters. This movie does have some really, really cool, likable characters, I do have to admit. But gets picked up by... just grabbing the name. Tucker, played by Kevin Gage. Oh, the girl's played by Bobby Sue Luther, by the way. He is he's a Southerner. Actually, probably the first Southerner I've seen in a horror movie like this, who isn't a serial killer. Interestingly enough, picks her up. He's bald, beard, walks with a cane. He takes her to his house to look at to help her. We meet his wife Cindy, who's played by Lena Headey, who you probably know from Game of Thrones, 300. Also, I think she was in The Purge. Yeah, she was in The Purge. But she stays with them for a while. Cindy obviously doesn't like her husband taking home a strange woman at first, but, well, she warms up to her. Unfortunately, that night, Chrome Skull does come to the house, cuts Lena Headey's head off. Little joke. And so Kevin, Tucker and the girl who they call Princess, because she remembers playing with a Princess Gemstone doll when she was a kid. I don't know. Princess, the girl, same thing. Same character. They escape and meet another really good character, Steven, in his house, because they need a phone, but they didn't pay their phone bills. Their phone was taken out. To use his phone, but he doesn't have a phone. He does have a computer, though. This is Sean Wallen, who was actually in The People Under the Stairs as Roach. And anything else I've seen? But he's another one of the really likable character. He's a nerd. He lets them use his computer to contact the police, and Cindy's doing. Not Cindy. The girl Princess is exploring the house a bit, trying to calm down. Stephen and Tucker talk about they check the missing persons database and try to find out who Princess is. Unfortunately, Chrome Skull shows up. They book it. They go back to the funeral home. Turns out that Stephen's mother had recently passed away, and she's in one of the coffins, and he, for obvious reasons, doesn't want to look at her corpse. Chrome Skull kind of puppets the corpse a bit because, Chrome Skull is weird that way. We find out he's been filming his crimes and sending them to the cops, as you do if you're crazy and stupid. They run some more. Tucker goes back to his house to bury the remains of his wife and to grab his pistol. They're still holed up in the funeral home, and then they flee to. They think they do shoot him, and he has to take the bullet out. They shoot Chrome Skull, and he has to take the bullet out. They steal his car and go back to Steven's house. There's a lot of going back and forth between the same few locations. Goes back to Steven's house, and then they're trying to think of their next plan, and then the girl just takes Chrome Skull's car and flees. While back, Tucker keeps talking about his brother-in-law coming to visit, how he'll help them. But in an earlier scene, Chrome Skull did stop them, killed Tucker's brother-in-law and his wife. So there, no help's coming from that way. Chrome Skull's driving that car now, and Princess steals the car that was Chrome Skull's and drives it to, ends up at a bodega. She does get captured by Chrome Skull, because Tucker and Steven follow on foot. They try to flag down a car driven by two drunk douchebags. Unfortunately, they're two drunk douchebags, so they don't pull over. They go to a bodega, like a late night bodega. While this is going on, Princess is watching some of the past murders of Chrome Skull and his exchange with the funeral director, and he was kind of in on it. It seems he was kind of in on the murder thing. And it's not really gone into that much. Then they get to. So she goes, but the batteries are dead. So Chrome Skull sends her in to get batteries, but she's taking too long. The guy at the counter won't sell these two douchebags beer. I was assuming because they're not old enough. Also, trust me, I can tell these things. I don't think he's old enough. He doesn't look a day over 17. The guy running the night shift. One guy, and I used to work in a store like this. This would piss me off. One of the two douchebags just picks up this giant jar of cheese balls, opens it, and starts eating it. Like, no, don't do that. They're going to some rave because it's 2009, and I guess that's what people did in 2009. They hit on the girl. The girl shows the store clerk the text message she got, which is abusive. So the guy behind the counter, there's a baseball bat over the counter, like on the wall behind the counter, and then which the girl keeps looking at like it's triggering a memory. And then there's a shotgun under the counter. He takes the shotgun and goes out and is to like face down what he assumes is just an abusive boyfriend. But it's Chrome Skull. He doesn't shoot Chrome Skull, even though he's clearly threatening, has a supervillain mask, and is wielding two knives. He lets the gun get taken away from him and gets himself shot in the face, and then the door's coated in blood. So the two guys are in there. There's a Johnny, I think, and Anthony. They're freaking out. Steven and Tucker do show up, and they're gathering weapons to protect themselves against Chrome Skull. No one grabs the aluminum baseball bat for some reason. They have like pins from joints. There's a can of tire sealant, which is a weapon apparently. Steven explains about this glue that he used to build a model when he was a kid. This kind of glue that like burns skin, apparently. That's totally not going to come back as a plot device. So they're getting ready. Anthony goes to the back, gets murdered, gets his head cut off and put in the fridge. Chrome Skull bursts in through the door. Johnny books it to the car. Somehow, Chrome Skull takes the tire sealant, and we get the goofiest kill in the movie, where he pumps all of it into Steven's ear, which makes his head explode. I think this is a movie mainly with like pretty down to earth, like grim, violent kills, like normal, just straight knife stuff, and then it just pulls a Friday the 13th Part 6 out of nowhere. It's kind of take me by surprise. Like, that's kind of stupid. Tucker shoots Chrome Skull, but he shoots him twice in the Chrome Skull, and that's all the bullets he had. Maybe don't shoot the metal thing. So Chrome Skull stabs him with one of his big knives. And then it's just the girl left. Chrome Skull chases her into the fridge. And she holds him off there. He's like, I know who you are. And then another weird thing about Chrome Skull. This guy keeps having things about him that are his thing. You can't just pick one thing and stick with it. Whatever happened, just like a good old fashioned mechanic themed slasher. That would have been cool. But no, he picks. He enters a text on his phone and shows it to the girl, which is like, yes, but who are you? And then shows her a video of her when he picked her up, obviously without the Chrome Skull mask on, and it turns out she was a prostitute. Then she's like, all right, come on, kill me. And then he tries to kill her. And then she knocks his mask off. And so for some inexplicable reason, which I cannot figure out, he puts the burning glue that Steven put out, that stuff, in the mask, and puts it on his own face, and then it melts his face off. And I have no idea why he put the super glue in the mask and then the mask on his face. I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. The killer just melts his own face off because, I guess. Weird. And then it's really good effect as his face, and you see now he's not just a Chrome Skull, he's a real skull. Which is going to make it very interesting, because I know there's a sequel to this movie, and I don't know how. It's probably a prequel. But then the girl leaves. Tucker finally dies. Tucker thinks she's Lena Headey as he dies. She finds a paper in his jacket, which is the missing persons report on her. It does not give her name, fortunately, but it begins with an A. It's 3 letters. Probably Amy. I'm going to guess Amy. And then she gets in the car with Johnny, and they drive off into the sunset. We get some really good music, and that was laid to rest. I don't know. This was weird. This was weird and confusing, and just kind of a little too much in places, I found. The best way to put this is the design of Chrome Skull and the plot of this movie is something I would have come up with when I was in high school, and that's not a compliment. I don't know. Maybe check it out. I hope Tommy Knocker, the horror guy, again, he gave me this movie to watch, and I gave him a movie to watch. I hope he enjoyed Dead Alive a bit better than I enjoyed this. I was just confused. This just kind of was a bunch of stuff that happened. Maybe I might watch the sequel somewhere down the line. I don't know. This was certainly a movie, and that's all I'm comfortable saying about it. I don't know. The interesting idea, didn't need to show quite as much. It's what you don't show that matters more than what you do show. I don't know. This just kind of was a movie. I don't really have any thoughts past the fact that it's a movie. So, I've been Merrick D'Amato, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, and also link to Tommy Knock of the Horror Guys channel in the description below. Bye.